Good day and welcome, America and beyond. I'm Tom Donahue for Truth Matters, Tom Donahue Report. So glad you can be with us. And we're here to put America first, New World Order, NeoCons, Epstein class, and Dem, socialist, communist, dead last. That's what we do here. That's what we stand for. Oh, and fake MAGA. And Dan Bongino, you're one of them. And speaking of Danny Boy, the Neanderthal, and look at that skull. You have to agree he looks like a Neanderthal. And he is a hothead, so his nickname is you could either be Neanderthal, hardhead, or hothead. And he is a hothead, and he likes dropping F-bombs. But I guess he's not going to be doing that based on FCC regulations and rules because he's returning to radio, sadly to say. And again, I believe in the free market of ideas, free market of expression and competition. But man, I'm glad I'm not a Neanderthal. I'm glad that I'm not a hothead. I might become a bit amplified, enthusiastic here, but never over the top and never angered to the point of F-bombs. So let me just give you just a little bit of background here because that's going to be happening on August the 24th. And shame on Westwood One and Cumulus. You could say, well, he did work for them. And then they decided to push out there his podcast, which is failing miserably based on previous ratings and rankings and just standards of top tier shows. And part of the reason is Epstein. We have a political and media hypocrite, a turncoat, a traitor, a thug, and just one treacherous dude that has tried to undermine people that are doing good work and trying to get to the bottom of things. Oh, and he's not a finisher. He bailed on Trump. And he's not revealed any of those dark secrets he uncovered when he was there at the FBI. And he hasn't exposed cashing in Patel, a world-class drunk. Yeah, and I guess, Cash has got that short man syndrome, and if you don't understand what that is, look it up. They were two diabolical figures, and the only thing he's had to say about Cash Patel is, what a great job we did together. What? And he has the utmost respect and regard for Cash Patel. Probably the worst FBI director, and you're probably the worst deputy FBI director in the history of the United States. Thank you very much. So let's talk about the hothead Neanderthal returning to actual radio. He's calling it the Bongino Report PM. Now he's up against the Jughead, the repeater, Sean Hannity. Now, Sean Hannity will continue to outperform him because as big as Westwood One and Cumulus, regardless of their bankruptcy, they're no match for Clear Channel, Premier, iHeart, because the amount of stations that are owned. So Hannity is in no jeopardy. He could lose a few stations here or there, but he would just go to alternate stations in that marketplace. But in terms of talent, you got two hacks, two guys that are unoriginal, not creative, not interesting, going head to head. A Jughead and a Hothead. Wonderful. So that's what we got in the afternoons. We used to have Michael Savage, and we used to have shows that actually mattered. But sadly, that's not the case. This Bongino Report PM is also going to feature a sidekick who's a Trump impressionist, a comedian, and a stooge named Sean Farish. So Bongino can't handle the duties on his own, and he's going to have a sidekick because this way, and this is just my take before the show has debuted, is that if you have too many callers that are antagonistic through the screening process, which I never screened, and if I were to take calls again, I never would. But Bongino has to because Epstein's going to keep coming up. The so-called suicide that he signed off on, and no client list as he signed on to. And he was part of the massive coverup, which is complete opposite of what Dan Bongino, the radio host and Fox News contributor, used to say. But then again, so did Don Jr. And so did Kash Patel and all the others that are now part of a massive diabolical cover-up. So they are Epstein class enablers. So that's what we've got. 3:00 in the afternoon Eastern. The comedian and impressionist might start off the first hour solo, but regardless, it is Bongino's namesake, the Bongino Report PM. Like that means anything. I don't know. Maybe he's still going to do Rumble and podcasts in the AM. I don't know. It really doesn't matter, because when you are a bona fide hypocrite, serial pathological liar, and master betrayer of the America First, MAGA movement and conservatism, then really, I mean, what do you have to offer? He's not the smartest guy in the room, certainly not the most educated or intelligent, and he's a failed political candidate. And I say candidate because he never achieved political office until his friend, Donald Trump, appointed him. But yeah, he bailed on Trump, and he was complaining at one point, this job is so much harder than I expected. And he would say things like, I wish I were back on radio. Well, you're going to be back. And if you didn't screen the calls, then it might be an interesting show. But the heavily screening process will sanitize the program and protect you, insulate you. But he's just like Steve Bannon, the bum. Trump even called him a bum, who's part of the Epstein class. That was his media interviewer, facilitator, trainer, producer, and handler, trying to re-image and rebrand a sex trafficker and serial pedophile. And the videotapes don't lie. They were his videotapes in his masterclass in teaching and training Epstein for the media. And Bannon has said and done other things that are contrary to America First. I mean, just look at the charges that were brought against him for the fake wall they were building and the money that he pocketed. And I just don't understand when you're betrayed by these so-called patriotic swindlers, these defrauders, these fakes, these phonies, that you forgive, maybe not forget, but you forgive because you just can't help but tune in. Why don't you just tune them out unless you want to confront them? So anyway, I just thought I'd give you a heads up about the Hothead returning to radio. And I have about zero interest in listening. It's all going to be political propaganda and trying to rewrite history. But all these guys, they get a do-over. All these guys get to return to their claim to fame. And, whether it's a Bongino, a Bannon, they just keep ticking along. Bill O'Reilly, you can be a sexual harasser, abuser, the president himself, and they just continue to accept and respect and go along. So I'm a leader, not a follower, and I'm never an enabler or an apologist or an excuser, and I don't protect the lame and the profane and the insane. So right back, hold tight, Tom Donahue, Truth Matters.